Hello again, I'm Doug Smith. This is the 21 November 2014 edition of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth Town Hall. Our guest today is Bob Smith from Rhode Island Department of Transportation. He's the Deputy Chief Engineer of the Design Department. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Doug.
You were here a few weeks ago in October, I believe, to update the Town Council on the Town Center plan. And I wonder if you could describe a little bit of that, maybe the background and how we got there and where we are now.
Sure. Town Center is a big project. It was first born in the out of the Town Center Planning Commission locally. There were several pedestrian accidents on this section of East Main Road, and of course it carries a lot of traffic, and it's, you know, it can be a difficult stretch to drive. So back about 10 years ago, this concept was developed, and DOT has tweaked it a little bit, but basically it looks to change the whole character of the road to try to slow traffic down and make it an environment that pedestrians and traffic can coexist a little bit better. The proposal calls for 3 roundabouts, one near Town Hall, one at Clements Market, and one in between, and the roundabouts will be connected by median. So the left turns will be eliminated within the corridor. All of the reversals of direction will take place at the roundabout. So that's a big safety improvement over what's there now.
Okay, we can take a look. We've got this graphic. If you can grab that, Bob. This shows the whole length of the thing, cut in half, obviously, from the Town Hall all the way down to Turnpike Avenue. And you've planned, there are 3 roundabouts planned, one up by the Town Hall, one halfway down the hill, and then one at Turnpike Avenue. Why do we need roundabouts, do you think, and how does that work?
Well, roundabouts are something that's lately has come quite a trend in the United States, bringing back the traffic circle, but in a different way, more like it was used in Europe, smaller. And the concept of a roundabout is it slows traffic down by design, okay? Our old traffic circles were big, and they really didn't slow traffic down. They were sort of like NASCAR ovals.
Right.
These calm the traffic a little bit, and we found that they can pass just as much traffic as any traffic signal, but people, to negotiate the roundabout, have to do it at a lower speed. Hopefully that would bring speeds down in the whole corridor, making it a much more drivable and much more pedestrian-friendly environment. You can also connect them with the median, like we've shown there, and people will be able to walk halfway across the road and have a refuge before they go halfway across. And then, of course, the left turns are eliminated. You'd reverse direction at these roundabouts if they're spaced closely enough. And those left turns are the ones that cross traffic. Right.
It just does seem that there's an awful lot of traffic that goes on both of our main roads, particularly during commuting hours, I guess. And it is dangerous. We've already lost a couple other people in the last several years. I just flipped over to another graphic here. Bob, if you could try to get that. This shows the roundabout up at the Town Hall as an example. And I wonder if you could kind of point to those features, perhaps. Here's a pointer.
Sure. Okay. Coming in from the south, coming northbound, you would start encountering some median leading up to this near Town Hall. And then we try to bring the Middle and Headley Street intersections together and then have them enter the roundabout here. It's a little tricky. This one's a difficult intersection today. Also, to get it to work in the roundabout is a little bit challenging because we have some nice trees and walls on this side of the road here. But it does lend itself to get a roundabout in there, and then leading further north, we continue the median so that anyone coming this way would have to reverse direction. You wouldn't be able to take a left across traffic.
So the way to take a left if you're going southbound is to go back the other way, is to go like that.
Around, yep. Just take a left, be in the lanes you would be in at a normal intersection, and that's the lane you'd be in.
Now what about the fire department and the police department, though? Can they get out?
Yeah, good question. We will break the median for them, it will only be used by the fire department and the police in emergencies.
And that'll have a light of some kind on it, presumably.
so they can get
just like it is now.
across the traffic.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the median, we would have like some sort of flush treatment there, so it looks like a median, so a driver won't want to use it.
Right.
But when the fire department does have to get out, they can.
Okay, and these are the pedestrian walkways?
Yes. Pedestrians in a roundabout make their moves on the outskirts of the roundabout. So here, I don't know how well you can see it, but there is a crosswalk. The splitter island leading into the roundabout serves as the refuge halfway across, so a pedestrian only has to cross the roundabout.
Now, can somebody actually stop there? And
Sure. Yeah, they only have to cross 2 lanes of the road.
so it's not a raised?
It is raised. I'm sorry, it's
Okay.
a raised island leading
Oh,
into the
but
roundabout.
people can stand on it, though?
Yes.
Okay.
The median is raised, as are these islands leading in. And that also, the benefit for pedestrians, they only have to deal with traffic coming in one direction, then they cross the other direction. And hopefully this traffic has been slowed because they're negotiating the roundabout, not flying down the road trying to beat a traffic signal.
Sure. One of the things, obviously, these roads that we have, both roads they're old and they're narrow. And they're kind of defined right now by power poles and personal property.
Right.
How is that going to work out?
Yeah.
Is that what the next step is, kind of to work on
Yeah.
that?
We're lucky
Go ahead.
on this end of the project because there is a wide right-of-way. If you've noticed, the utility poles are way back coming down the hill, so we have room to put in our wider section. I guess we should mention that the proposed section is 4 11-foot lanes. Right now the road just has 4 10-foot lanes, nothing else, no sidewalk, no
Right.
median, and it's narrow. So this proposal calls for 4 11-foot lanes. On the shoulder, there's will be a 2-foot offset from the curb and a 1-foot offset on each side from the median. The median is 6 feet wide, and the proposal calls for a grass strip of varying width and a new 5-foot sidewalk on each side of the road.
Okay, let's take a look down at the other end. This is, we didn't show the one in the middle of
Yeah.
of the hill. This is the one down by Turnpike and Clements Market.
Yeah. We've
That's
already,
complicated.
it's actually a little bit, it fits a little bit nicer at this intersection than the other end, but we've already done the road diets on Turnpike and East Main, so they're now 2 and 3 lane roads leading into this. They will open up back to more lanes leading into the roundabout so they can match the other side. But this one, there is a pretty good amount of room here in front of the CVS, and there is a lot of pavement there that we can use to locate the roundabout. Again, more major roads leading into it, so there'll be more traffic moving here. Traffic should slow, but all branches are always moving. You'll slow down going through the roundabout, but you won't have the long queues leading into it.
Waiting
like
for the
you do.
light to change. Yeah.
Exactly. And again, the pedestrian crosswalks are at the outsides where they can use the splitter islands to cross.
So this is really a major overhaul of these roads.
Yeah. Again, we're looking, and the goal of the Planning Commission back in the day, I think, was to change the character of the road, give it a different look and feel, so the driver went through here more slowly and took more of the town in as opposed to just flying through.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the thing is, what is the next step? You briefed the council on the current status, and then what is the next step?
Okay, we're at a point now, the plans are pretty well developed. We're going to need to acquire property to do this and apply for our environmental permits. Because there's more pavement here, there will be impacts to stormwater. We will be expected by DEM to mitigate those. Usually that's done through installing ponds to have settle out the water, the contaminants out of the water. You may notice that there's one in front of Clements Market now that was installed privately, but similar to that.
There is? I never noticed.
See? Well, okay, good. That means they blended it in well. Hopefully we'll be able to do the same thing with ours. We need to find some property where it may be appropriate to do that, and then use that to do this stormwater mitigation. We'll need to work closely with the town on that step of the project, though.
Okay, and so that's what's coming up next, and
Yeah.
does that require any kind of town council approval, or?
Well, formally, we don't require it, but we like to have the town be on board. We don't want to build something here
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
the town, isn't, doesn't really like. So, and stormwater ponds, you know, put in the wrong place and not blended in well, tend to not be viewed too favorably. So we want to make sure we do right by the town there.
Okay, so assuming everything goes forward as planned, essentially, when will we first start seeing construction?
Right now, it
take
looks
place?
like hopefully it'll be a 2016 project. You know, it's going to take some time to go through the environmental permitting process. We would come up with a design, and then it would be reviewed by the environmental agencies, probably some comments, some tweaks to be done. So if there are any tweaks that require us to acquire more property, we got to go back and do that. So
Right.
it's a give and take for a while as we get through that process. But that's a big step, and we want to make sure that we're in tune with the town as we get into that now.
Now, how much does a project like this cost? And where do you get money from?
Yeah,
for
okay,
funding
good.
this?
These projects are big. When you want to change the character and widen, you know, it's expensive. Utilities have to move back, particularly at this end of the project here by Clements Market. We're talking for less than a mile, it could cost us $10, $15 million worth of work. So it's got to come from the federal share that we get from Washington every year. It's been programmed for over 16 and then into future years to do that. If our costs are around $15 million.
Okay, so it is programmed though,
Yes.
money. So,
it's in what we call the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program.
okay.
It's our program of how we're going to spend our federal dollars at DOT. So this project is included in that currently.
Okay, so when do you expect to come back to the town council again for an update?
Over the winter, I think we probably will meet a couple of times to start going through these details. We gave them an overview, and now as we get into more of the details, I think we're going to need to meet either with the town council directly or a subgroup. Some communities elect to set up a working group on projects like this that we can work a little more closely with and then report to the council on.
Yeah.
So that could be an option here too.
Well, this looks like it would be a major improvement, although it's interesting that you got quite a length of road there, and there's only really three, up to this point, there
Yeah.
are 3 pedestrian crosswalks. Is there any thought to having these things, you know, like with one of those buttons so traffic could stop or something like that?
We could investigate it. We try to, I think this end of the job is where, this northern end is where most of the pedestrian activity
Probably
seems
would
to
be,
be.
yeah.
As you go up the hill toward the fire station, maybe not as much, but those type of details we'll look at. You know, we do have the light that will have to go in for the fire station.
Yeah.
Perhaps if there's pedestrian activity up there, we could do something, but it's a little delicate working with the emergency light for the fire department, so we want to be careful, but that could be a place we could look at.
Okay, well, I think we can look forward to seeing some of this stuff happening in 2016. Let me move on to some other projects you guys are working on. I guess one of the questions was, you know, we've got this new Secana River Bridge. What's going to happen to the old bridge? And are there any plans, and is there any money programmed for the demolition of that bridge?
Yes. As part of the overall bigger project, there was money budgeted to take the existing bridge down. So we do have funds for that. Right now, we're going through the permitting process. We are looking at options of mechanically removing the bridge and using, you know, controlled demolition explosives where possible, away from the shore.
Sure.
Similar to what we did on Jamestown. That needs to go through some of the federal permitting agencies, and then once we get approval there, we will take it to the local permitting agencies, DEM, CRMC, and they will have to approve the methods that we will allow the contractor to do it. Times of year, impacts to habitat, all has to be looked at. Usually we'll submit our proposal, and some of that gets worked out in the permitting process. But we're sort of in the middle of that now. We're working with the federal agencies. We hope to quickly be able to finish that and get to our local permitting agencies this winter, hopefully being able to advertise a finished product by spring.
So you get all the permits before you
Yes,
put out
the permits all have to be obtained before we can start the project. So it's something that probably won't get underway till summer at earliest. The permitting road can be, can have some setbacks. Sometimes we have to study things that are brought up by the permitting agencies that we might not have known to look at before. So that process, to put a timeline on, can be a little challenging, but our goal is to get it going this year if the permitting process is completed.
Okay, this year meaning 2015.
15,
right.
Yeah.
This summer.
I'm already in
summer.
the federal fiscal year.
Yeah.
It'll be in next summer, correct.
Okay, and then if not that, then certainly probably 2016.
Sure.
When all this other stuff is going to come to fruition
Yeah.
too. You guys are going to be very busy down here in Portsmouth.
Yes.
And speaking of that, your maintenance facility that you're relocating over here seems to be progressing fairly well. What's the status of that?
Yeah, that is a project being done entirely with state money. Our maintenance facility will replace the one, the Anthony facility over by Anthony Road. This is the new one will be located near the new park and ride off of Boyd's Lane.
Is that going to stay there, the park?
Yeah, that was designed around their template for the maintenance facility. I believe some of the utilities have already started putting in the hookups, gas and water out in the road. We've done some test borings and soil sampling in the site recently. You may have seen some activity going on in there. That plan, we hope to bid that over the winter also, so that construction can happen next summer. The goal had been to try to have it open for next winter season. It may be a little ambitious. We're keeping it the goal. It's more likely to open in 16, but hopefully, we would like to get it online for next year's winter. But, that's going to be tight.
So we'll probably see more activity in the spring and
Yes.
summertime next year.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. I have to mention that I think the road diets have worked pretty well in my estimation anyway. And are there any plans for any more of those here in Portsmouth?
Yeah, well, I think we've done just about all of the 4-lane roads you've got, short of the really busy sections of East and West Main Road. We did part of West Main, we did Bristol Ferry, we did Park Avenue a long time ago, and the northern end of East Main Road, and I think they've been a reasonably good success. I think we've seen traffic speeds lowered, and so far accidents seem to have been on the decline also. So so far so good. I don't know that we have any more planned, because I'm not sure we have any roads that fit the criteria. The piece of East Main Road we just talked about just has too much traffic to consider less than 4 lanes there. And the same on West Main further south in Portsmouth. So unless you can find me any more 4-lane roads, I think we might
the
be
ones
done.
you put up seem to be working fine in my estimation.
Yeah, we're happy
anyway.
with them too.
One of the areas that, one of the things that's hard to figure out for most citizens, residents of Portsmouth is what DOT owns and what our local Public Works Department owns in terms of roads and areas like that. And I understand that the Portsmouth side of the Old Stone Bridge is something that is under DOT's cognizant.
I believe that has been turned over to DEM. I could be wrong, but I don't believe we own that anymore.
Okay.
We had done some work on the Tiverton side.
But the town doesn't own it.
I don't believe the town owns it. No, I
Okay.
think it's state-owned, but I think at some point the ownership was turned over to DEM.
Yeah.
That I'd have to double-check, but that's my recollection of it. Yeah.
Because it'd be nice if we could do something without, kind of like Tiverton has done with it on their side. And,
yeah, I think, unfortunately, Tiverton had gotten some federal money to do some work over there back when the federal government was more prone to earmarks and things like that.
Money's very tight, I realize that, and it's probably getting tighter. One of the other issues, it's not so much an issue, or maybe it is, but it is the idea of bike paths and sidewalks. Coming from kind of rural routes, a lot of our roads have no sidewalks, and it makes it very dangerous for pedestrians trying to walk along the side of a road, because they're walking right next to a 45-mile-an-hour, speed lane. I just wonder, are any additional sidewalks or bike paths planned in either the East or West Main roads? This project has sidewalks.
Yes. No matter what form we put this out in, I think the town has made it clear that they want sidewalks on the town center project. We have a project to improve the sidewalks, probably later next year for the northern end of East Main Road. I think there might be sidewalks there now, but they come and go. On West Main Road, we did the northern end of that 2 years ago, a year or two ago. There were some sidewalks that were going to be put in on a piece of that toward Locust, toward the southern end of that project that was completed. What happened was there was some, because you don't have a sidewalk there now, the excavation that needed to be done to do that, the area being old, rural, is sensitive to archaeological resources, potentially. And we were required to do some testing to make sure that we didn't disturb anything. So what we did was we took the sidewalks out of the contract that was done, and they will be constructed in contract 2, which is actually the third contract, the middle piece. We are going to build sidewalks in that bottom end of the northern piece that you have already seen done. A lot of people in town have asked about that. What happened to the sidewalks here? They're still coming. They're just in the next phase of the job.
Okay, what about bike paths?
Bike paths, there have been studies along the Burma Road and the rail line. We don't have any plans currently to do any DOT along any of the roadways. Certainly when you do some of these road diets, if the shoulder is widened, it makes it more conducive to bicycle travel. As far as formalizing one into a bike path, you know, I think there are some local planning agencies looking into that. We've been working with them, Aquidneck Island Planning Council and the local municipalities. I'm not aware that we have anything on the books right now, but we're always open to...
It almost seems like there are bike path projects to the south of us and across the bridges on the other side. And we got that great pedestrian slant bicycle route over the bridge now. And then you come right back on, you're back on kind of rural roads. No,
Aquidneck Island's always been a challenge for us because the area is limited, and East and West Main Road just haven't been too good for bicycles. But there has been the Burma Road and the rail line down there over the years that had been looked at, and we're constantly discussing it with the various interested parties. I don't know that anything is actively being designed, but you know, we're always open to work with the town to pursue that.
Yeah, I wonder if some kind of town committee or something, like you say, might be a good choice to champion something like that.
You know, it's always good to have a local champion because that gets the ball rolling.
Yeah. Now, what other future plans does RIDOT have for Portsmouth or the island that we should know about?
Well, there is the East Main Road project from Turnpike to Boyd's. That we have planned at some point in the future to show that to the town council. And initially was just going to replace the sidewalks. There were some other issues up there, and in fact right out here with Chase's Lane, kind of a unique setup, a little odd. There are some issues with the park and ride spillover, working with RIPTA. They'd like to see some more areas for people to be able to park and use the bus. So we've tried to work some of that into the project. So this northern piece of East Main Road, though we did do the road diet, a repaving, new sidewalks, and a general cleanup project up here is something that we're trying to get on the books for next year. We are going to have our proposal put forth before the town council soon.
How do you guys do out-year planning? I mean, you have to plan these things obviously well in advance in order to get all the permitting things done. So do you have like 5-year planning cycles, or what kind of?
Yeah, the TIP, Transportation Improvement Program, is put together by the statewide planning, Division of Statewide Planning. They're actually part of Division of Administration, not DOT. There's a 25 or so person committee that works with them called the Transportation Advisory Committee that will look at all the projects and kind of rank them and try to put them into the years as we know that federal money is coming to us in the future. it's been a challenge lately with the
Yeah.
uncertainty of the federal program. That's really kind of hurt us here in Rhode Island.
I would
because-
imagine most of our funding comes from that federal
Yeah,
funds.
without having a state program to supplement that with,
Yeah.
that has really been a challenge for us. Getting reduced federal funding is painful
I
for
know,
the
and
state.
we're already talking about big deficits being faced by the state, so
Yeah.
good luck to these guys trying to figure out a way to do
Yeah,
this.
and you know, we've got plenty of roads and bridges to fix around here.
That's
so
right. You know, we've had the Quinnipiac Island Transportation Study. I think that was done by AIPC,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. Have you factored any of what they've come out with into your planning?
Yeah, I know there are a few project proposals in Middletown, some roundabouts on the southern end of their study area that are in the planning stages right now. What we've been doing up here in Portsmouth with the proposal for town center and you know, the Turnpike and East Main Road is sort of part of that plan. So that's been factored into it, but we have some future projects I know that are directly coming out of that in Middletown. Valley Road, I believe, has a couple of roundabouts
Yeah.
proposed, there's some intersections.
Well, I know
down
that
there.
also had bike paths and other things in it as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we'll have to, that would have, for us to do that, they would have to get that put in the tip for that to be, us to use federal money to implement it.
Sure. One other kind of, we're getting almost out of time here, but the intersection down there by Headley Street and Corey Lane, that, you know, it kind of goes on a big jog.
Yeah.
Were there ever any plans to kind of connect that up and have turning lanes and things like that?
Yeah, gee, we looked at that in the past. I know the project there had some impacts. Again, archaeological, because it is a sensitive area.
Yeah,
I
probably.
believe there might have even been some property acquisition and maybe even a house that might have had to been condemned to implement that project.
yeah.
So it didn't move forward. We could bring it up again with the new council and see where they want to go with it. But right now, I think it's sort of on hold, the intersection realignment.
Yeah, because that would be a big, I think, a big step over in that area, make everything flow a lot faster and a lot smoother.
Right.
And that relates to just left turning lanes. I know you've several places you've been able to incorporate a left turn lane.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, some of these other areas, for example, the turn into King Charles Drive over there.
Yeah.
I always try to get in the right lane there because you
Yeah.
know there's going to be somebody stopping to take a left
Yeah.
and they can't get across traffic.
That's been brought up to us by the town, and we plan to put in an advanced signal green for them. We won't be able to fit in a turning lane without a project with
Right,
impacts,
right.
but we can retrofit that signal to give that.
So it's got a turning, it's got an arrow.
They'll have an arrow advance of the other direction so that people can make that left without impeding traffic.
Well, listen, one final quick question here. I'm almost out of time. If somebody has a question or an issue related to the Department of Transportation, how can they voice it?
We have a customer service office to track all of the questions coming in. They have an email address. They have a telephone. I think it's 222-2450.
Okay, we'll have it on the screen, I
Yeah,
hope.
they'll handle any questions that people have.
Okay.
They'll route them to the right people.
All right, thanks. Bob, I got to thank you very much for coming in again, and we hope to see you in the future. You can talk about some of the other stuff you got planned for
Sure.
us here.
Be my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Doug Smith. We'll see you next time on Portsmouth This Week.